I am Jim Collison and live from the Gallup campus here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Called the Coach, special BP10 edition, recorded on February 15th, 2019. This BP10 edition of Called the Coach is a resource for Gallup-trained BP10 coaches and educators who want to help others identify and develop their entrepreneurial talents, or builder talents, as we like to call them. We have Gallup experts and independent BP10 coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help others maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you have questions during this webcast, we do have a live chat room that's available for you, either to the right of the video window or down below for you. 3 little buttons. Choose that, pop that out. You could just log in with your Google account. We have a bunch out there in chat right now. Best way to get your questions into the program today. If you're listening to the recorded version or have questions about anything, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com. For all your Clifton Strengths coaching and BP10 resources, you can also catch the video both streaming and downloadable audio for offline listening to our coaches blog. By the way, we just released a brand new version of mobile responsive design to that. So if you were struggling to get that on your phone before, you might want to try it again. Really one site to rule them all, coaching.gallup.com. Todd Johnson is our host today. Todd's Gallup's channel leader for entrepreneurship. I'm having trouble saying that word, Todd. And job creation.
It out and get builder in there.
I know. You're right.
I'll talk to the title people.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Todd.
Well, great. And thanks. I so enjoy these calls. And today's going to be really special. We've got a great guest. I'm going to wait for a minute to introduce her and give a little context to the whole CIR world. But this is going to be a great one. Thanks for being there. And let's really do encourage the questions. This should be as interactive as possible. I know in our quarterly updates in the past, I've kind of rambled on, which I'm not going to do today. That'll surprise people that know me. But I'm going to be as succinct as I can. I did want to give a little bit of history and context to the CIR world, the Coach's Insight Report. As many of you probably remember, having been on this journey with us from the beginning in about 2014, when we initially launched, I think we were called the Entrepreneurial StrengthsFinder back then, we had intensities. So our report, and Dominique, I don't know if you remember this, but we had 3 buckets. We would talk to people about their relationship within each of the 10 demands, each of the 10 talents, as being dominant, just naturally can't help it, dominant, contributing, which is sometimes there, but not always, and then supporting. We put as much positive language around it. We thought that was a really great idea. We thought the marketplace would love that information, and we were wrong. Some loved it, but especially in group settings, in academic settings, in team settings, it became conflictive and was kind of being misused. So about 6, maybe 8 months into it, we took a step backwards. We kind of regrouped, again, listened to the market, and we removed intensity and we went to pure rank order. That was great, but a lot of our coaches were not happy. And of course, our coaches are such a critical part of our business. We listened and we went back into the laboratory and we came up with a scored version. So we went a step further than the 3 buckets. We went into the actual scoring and benchmarking, which has now come to be called the Coach's Insight Report. We've had the bundles of the Coach's Insight Report for about 2 years, and one of our just most fervent users and believers and practitioners and experts is with us today. Dominique Bock is just out of Montreal. She reported that it was 15 below zero and people are outside washing their cars. So apparently that's warm when you're in Montreal, Canada. But Dominique has been a Clifton Strengths coach for years, I believe, certified. I've even got her top 5, our achiever, responsibility, connectedness, relator, and strategic. And of course, her BP10 top 4. And as we get to know her, you'll see these come out wonderfully. Disruptor, determination, risk, and relationship. Dominique, thank you so much for being with us. We had a fun conversation the other night. It was so much fun having you here in Omaha a couple years ago around our BP10 movement. And welcome to Jim's show.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd.
Can you tell us, I know your history and your expertise, but can you share with our group kind of who you are and what you're working on, and we'll just kind of dig right into the world of CIR, but give us some context. Who are you?
Okay. I've been in business for over 20 years. So it's always been in me. Like when I got out of college and all this. And anyway, my parents died when I was young, and right away I started my first business. So I've always been in business, like all my life. So, and one of my passion is the potential that humans have. And it's been like years and years. Like I wanted to know, like, how come I functions the way I function? How come it's easy for me to achieve something when I have an objective? I almost achieve it. So I've always been in business, but my passion behind like the business was there's a solution, there's an equation, there's a formula, how the human can develop themselves. So I've been reading for about thousands of books and all this, and taking courses and all this. So it's always been like my passion and all this. So a couple of years ago, like I went to an Entrepreneurial program in Chicago, and I went there for 6 years, and every 3 months for 6 years, like. And it's over there that, they tested us with Gallup and all this, and it fascinated me so much because I'm a person who measures everything. Mm-hmm. When I have an idea, I measure it, and if it's good, I do it. But it's rarely the case. If I measure everything. I have thousands of measurements and all this. So when I went to Chicago for 6 years, every 3 months to go there, like, to have to be a good entrepreneur and all this, and I watched them and I said, wow, they've got a thing over there that we believe the same thing. So I got some great tools and all this from there, and that's where they tested us because they wanted to know us. So, but they never explained anything to us. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was like a measure person. I said, my God, this is a measurement. Mm-hmm. So after 2 years being in Chicago and all this, I went to get certified. And I said, oh, it's a piece of my puzzle to understand the humans and all this. So I've started like coaching the employees at our businesses and all this, and to put them, like my mission was to put them at the right place so they could perform and for them to be who they were supposed to be and all this. Yeah. So, and then 2 years after, I went to the summit and I heard about the BP10. And when I was there, I was amazed. I said, oh my God, another piece of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. For the human potential. And I'm an entrepreneur. So what I said, oh my God, I'm going to understand myself even better. How do like human, obtain the result if they have an objective and all this. So it's always been in me for the past 30 years, 35 years, reading everything there is about the human potential and to understand how come I do what I do, and I used to give a lot of advice to people. You should do this, you should do that, but they wouldn't do it. And I wouldn't understand it. So that's why, a bit of my story.
No, that's great. Talk a little bit about your businesses. You've got a diverse portfolio. I can see in the background there, Polar Bear Club.
Yeah.
People need to know about that.
Yeah. So we 20 years ago, my husband and I, we bought 2 retail telecom retail stores. So, it was a huge thing, to buy those 2 stores, but we put a loan on our house and we gambled everything. And we said to each other, are we ready to do this? And if we lose everything, it's going to be okay. And we looked at each other and said, yes. So we said, yes. Okay. So we took a loan. We sold everything we had. We borrowed $1.5 million and we jumped into the entrepreneur, So anyways, after the year after, we started another store, and 2 years after, another one. So after the 6th store, we were saying, oh God, we're so good. So we decided to buy, we were bored. So we decided to buy something else. So we bought the Nordics, the Polar Bears Club, which is the oldest Nordic spa in Quebec.
Oh,
So we bought it in 2008. So we put $1 million down, we borrowed 6 million, and then the crash happened.
Yeah, right.
September 2008. And then we thought, oh my God, like, that was like the worst thing that we could have done, like, So that's where like I started to go to Chicago and say, okay, I need to go learn something. How are we going to get out of this thing and all this? But anyway, so now I know with my determination and all the talents that I have. So we went through it, and it's doing extremely, extremely well. And also we bought 4 other stores. So now we have 10 telecom stores, and we have the Polar Bears Club, which is 2 different kind of business. So every time we have to put one hat when I talk to those, or when
they're not related. I love hearing your determination, your risk, just come out. And so you started with Clifton Strengths, and then you've kind of added, if you will, BP10.
Yeah.
Can you talk? Do you use them both? Do you use them together? Do you use them independently? What's that look like? I know coaches ask that question a lot.
Everyone, we use StrengthsFinder with all the employees, all of them. And the BP10, we do it for the managers or anyone who is in a position to build something, or any managers, or anyone who has employees.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Were you good with our shift from entrepreneur to builder? Was that natural, and that worked okay?
Well, right now, it's so easy, it's so clear, it's so to the point. I couldn't live without it. It's phenomenal.
Okay, awesome. What happens when, and this, I see a lot of CIR reports, and obviously not all of them. What happens when you're delivering low scores? Has that happened? And I know that's a concern and a fear maybe of some of our coaching friends out there.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this story.
Yeah.
When I went to that course, the BP10, after I send the test to all the managers that we have. Okay. Yeah. When I got the report, and it's funny because like our general manager, I sent him the report, the CRS, but I didn't say anything how to do it with the managers. I didn't tell him, wait for me. Yeah. So he had a meeting with all the managers, and he showed his score in front of everyone. And he told the managers, okay, next month, we're going to show you all your scores. So then when I sent him the scores of all the managers, he called me and said, oh my God, I made a big mistake. I said, yes, you made a huge mistake. I never told you to show the scores of everyone, because you cannot show the score in front of everyone, because the human are going to, the way we are, it's like, oh my God, I have a bigger score than the other one. And it's not a competition. So that was so we never did show it to everyone. It was a 1 by 1. So I coached every single one, but no one asked like, is my score low or is my score high? Because the way I coach, I always coach the first 4 talent to maximize the 4 and all this. So,
we did the same thing. We gave out the CIRs to the classes, the first couple, thinking that was a great idea, and it was a horrific idea. Yeah. We actually, when we first launched this, Jim, you probably remember this, we had a special cover page that came out for the top 2%. And again, I kind of own that one. I thought it was a great idea. What a nightmare. And we literally had a class of, 25 coaches. One cover sheet came out, and the dynamic of the 2 days was really not conflicted, but it was awkward, because there was this elephant in the room, and it was a gentleman who got that cover page and kind of made sure everybody knew it. So yeah, we always caution extremely seriously that it's not a group activity. It's a very individualized one-on-one. And for those of you that are using the CIR or have seen it, there is no judgment. We don't say yay, nay, yes, no, recommended, not recommended. That's maybe common in our selection practice, but we purposely don't do that. And Dominique, you and I talked earlier, no 30 minutes on the internet with a psychometric profile should be a yay, nay, stop, go. And I get the question a lot about, is it a selection tool? It can be, but I love the way you use it developmentally. Have you ever used it in a hiring situation? Or
Yes.
No? You have?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Now, from now on, yes. When we hire like managers, for sure, yeah, we do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
often when I receive a score and I'm like, right away, I know how I'm going to coach them. If I see like a score, like really high in relationship or really high, then I know like right away, like, okay, this person needs to be aware that she needs to be careful on those talents. And it's all about awareness, because when you're aware of your talent, sky's the limit, but you need to be aware of your talent, of your
talent and your blind spots. We've often said, because by definition, you can't see a blind spot. And in these, I watch this startup community, and I've been at this now maybe 15 years in various facets of the startup world, and it just drives me crazy when teams align around the comfort, safe, the people that look like them and think like them and talk like them and act like them. And that people have heard me say this before. But it can be really bad for a business.
Yeah.
Has your husband taken the BP10?
Yeah.
What do you complement each other, or are you in alignment? Is that talk about
that? It's funny because both of us were disruptor.
Oh, right. That's dangerous.
And our daughter and son are also disruptor.
Oh, wow.
But the good thing, like, he's got risk and I've got risk. So at least, like, we're like, when we jump into something, we're aware, like, more aware now than we were before, like, and he's got something, but yeah, we complement each other very well.
Oh, wow. Nate.
Like because of this, I understand the machine, like, I understand myself so much. And I'll give you like a little thing that I explain often, because often when managers or anyone ask me a question, once before, and I say, how can I explain to them like where we're going? And like one of the things like I want them like to understand is, let's see if we would go to Las Vegas playing cards. Okay. Like, and like playing bridge, like the more you play, the better you're going to be, right? Like talent, the more you play, the more like you talk about it, the more you're like, you read, like the more you're getting coached, the more you're going to be better. So let's see if we're going to Las Vegas, and I've got cards, and I know the more and more how to play my cards. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, good. Yeah.
And I can see people around because I know everyone's cards, and I can see people that, how can I say this? Have great cards for the role they are, but they are not, they don't know how to play. Okay. And like, and I can see people say, oh my God, they should have used that card. They had that card, but they're not aware. And you can see another person beside that have not as good cards for the role, but he knows how to play. So that person can win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the way, like, I coach my people, or the people, like, for them to be aware of their machine. We have the greatest machine on earth, like better than computers and cell phone and all this. And when people will understand, it's all about us. Like, we are the one to create whatever we want, like,
We need to know our cards.
Yeah. If you know your card. Yeah.
You gotta know your cards. I've never heard that used, but it fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Jim, are you getting any questions in the chat room, or are you going to interrupt? Or
no, I will interrupt. Not yet. They're priming. They're getting ready.
Okay.
They're enjoying the conversation. So let's keep going. And then
I know one question that I get a lot on the CIR, and maybe Dominique can help me with this, but the scoring algorithms has confused some in the past, because there will be some higher scores to the right, and of course it's in descending order. The best way to think about that, and for us to explain that, is the scores are relative. So some of the talents are more prevalent in the research than others. So, maybe an example would be take a student in school, and they're taking math and they're taking let's call it English, and they get a 60 in both. Well, you could say that's an equal number, but in fact, the average of the math scores were 40. And so a 60 would be very good. A 60 was great relative to the average. But in English, the average was 70. So their 60 is now not as good. See, so the way to think about it is relative to the intensity in the database, and not get hung up on, the actual numeracy as it rank orders down. Does anybody ever get confused by the scoring, Dominique, or do you?
No.
No, good.
No, at all.
We put in, I forget the text, something like, please note that some talents are more common than others amongst builders, and thus higher raw scores can be associated with lower rankings and vice versa. We attempted to explain that away in the report. An enhancement that we're thinking about is bringing some scoring to the rainmaker, conductor, and expert roles. So I don't have a date for that, but our team is looking into bringing those roles onto the CIR report, which I think would be interesting and noteworthy. We do say on the BP10 report, it's possible that you have some of everything, but the way you answered the questions has aligned to one role over another. But we've been getting a lot of questions on, I thought I was an expert and you think I'm a rainmaker. So we're going to maybe flesh that out and bring that to the CIR world into the future, which you think would be kind of neat. The plans to automate the CIR have not changed since the last report, since the last update, and the first update. It's in queue, but there's a very long queue. So the process, and Dominique so well, it's an email to Christy Trout. We have to do bundles. When we first launched this, we did individuals, and we had 7 or 8 people working on it. And my accounting folks suggested that we try to bundle and or streamline. So we do the bulk order of 10. I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's just kind of a manual process, but it seems to work, right? You and Christy are kind of in a groove.
Very easy. And the service, I get the result. Oh yeah. And for us, it's.
And she's got incredible service orientation. There are times we have trouble, pulling out certain reports, and for the life of me, I can't explain it. You think they're either all there or none are there, but somehow the computer does play tricks on us sometimes. So please bear with us, coaches, as we keep working through it. But it seems to be a pretty well-oiled machine. Again, kudos to Christy Trout, because she works real hard to keep the coaches happy.
Dominique, let me ask you a question. When you're coaching on this, and we oftentimes assume everybody is just going to embrace it on the first go around. Have you had some particular situations where you're coaching or working with individuals, they see their top 4 and they go, that's not me at all?
Do they fight it?
And do they fight it, or do you get it sometimes where that doesn't work like you're anticipating?
Not at all. So far, 100% of the time, they all say, "Oh, this is really me." And even a lot that have high score. Let's see, profitability really high. And I know one of the manager is "Oh my God, this is really me," and it's me in my personal life also. It's so far 100%. Everyone was extremely happy, and it gives them where they have to be careful, So it's more of a big, huge insight than.
So there's in the Clifton Strengths speak, we talk about basements and balconies, but I'm kind of hearing you talk about that in the CIR world too.
Yeah.
Too high on anything can also be a challenge, right?
Yeah.
If your determination, I've coached some entrepreneurs who are so high on determination, I can't get them off a bad idea.
Yeah.
And that can be
easy on those high determination people there.
Oh, sorry there. Okay.
But another insight for us, let's say out of 10 managers, 7 of them are high on independence. Okay. And I coach them for them to think now, because we have stores, and it's as if they were all parallel instead of being a business, because since they're so high and independent, they can do everything by themselves. So what it does, the BP10, like, or especially having the scores, it puts people aware to associate with other people. When people are going to learn that the magic is with the association. Who do you associate to win? Like me, like now, like I know, like I don't do everything anymore. I did it like until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, like I feel so much like lighter because I say, can you do this? Can you do that? Because I associate so much. So I multiply my association and I multiply my actions. And it doesn't have to take years. Like, I mean, now we're really like spinning faster than before.
Wow.
Because of the awareness of the association where like you're all the talents, like.
Oh, I love that. I heard somebody once say that the CIR and BP10, you're really just kind of speeding up Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Because you're going to learn that you can't do everything, or you're going to learn that you have to have somebody thinking about sales or profits or continually disrupting, et cetera. So again, it was such a simplifying thought, but I think pretty accurate. You're just speeding up Mother Nature.
Yeah, because I don't understand why people wouldn't use that, and I don't understand why coaches, managers wouldn't use that. It's maybe because it's inside of me. I'm a measuring people. And when I say a great idea, like don't forget, I'm a disruptor, like and I'm an achiever, and and I'm determined. So like all my talents is my machine. So when I say, and it's always like, how come people are not doing this? I'm always on the research. Why are they stopping there? So that's why, like, coaching everyone around me for them to know their machine, life's going to be so much easier. Like, it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to take years. If I would have known what I know now, we wouldn't have made so many mistakes. We are doing extremely well, but we wouldn't have made so many mistakes, like,
I've heard that so many times that if I had only known then what I've discovered now through the school of hard knocks, if you will.
Yeah.
We have a number of cliches. Again, we love measurement too at Gallup, and we also know that just because you can count it doesn't mean it counts. So we see a lot of measurement malpractice, which drives us measurement folks crazy because they're counting for the sake of counting, but not maybe measuring what matters.
Yeah.
I think it was our Six Sigma friends that said, you don't value what you don't measure. So if you value the role of the human being, be it an employee or be it a customer, measuring is probably a pretty good thing. And you can't manage what you can't measure, of course, is the old adage.
That's right.
Let me jump in real quick, Todd. Steve is asking a question for Dominic. She mentioned a couple times about using it as a selection tool for managers. And in the sense, if you could clarify that a little bit, are you actually making decisions on hiring off of it, or are you saying once you've hired them, you're taking it into consideration? Once you hired them, you're coaching. So can you explain that a little bit more, just for folks?
Okay. Yeah. No. When we hire manager now. We do a BP10 before, and it's a selection for sure.
And what are you looking for? So then are there certain criteria that you're looking for in that, some certain themes, or how are you doing that? Okay,
let's say for hiring a sales manager, and the selling and profitability is like extremely, extremely low at the bottom. Do you know what I mean? So it depends what you want in which role. So but for sure now, we never hire without BP10, never. And I wouldn't never do it again. So it depends which role you want, So because you want to build. So, and that's where it starts. It needs to be clear what you want, So,
well, another thing you said in the beginning, and I'm seeing this a lot in chat today. So I kind of mixed. I did this in the beginning of the program where I said that word entrepreneurial, and Todd, we have to remind ourselves too. We've moved to a builder idea in the sense that it doesn't always necessarily mean that we're, and Dominique, as you're talking about your managers, you're using that doesn't necessarily going to make them entrepreneurs, but it does give you some read on their talent of some specialties.
Yeah.
in the work you're doing, you're building businesses.
Yeah.
And so you're looking for these particular talents. It doesn't mean they're going to go run off on their own, start their own businesses, right? You're hiring them to work for you,
Yes.
but you want them to build. And so you're using these talents in that way.
And like I said to if anyone who's like I'm coaching, like what we should say now, it's not what are you doing in life, it's what are you building right now. So what are you building in your life personally and all this. So yeah.
Another Todd, can I throw one more question? Sorry, you want a question, so I got some.
Go. Your show.
How about it's not? You got to stop saying that. They're gonna they start calling it the gym show. We don't want that. There's some question about starting with. If you could use either Clifton Strengths or Builder Profile 10, if you could only use one or the other, or where would you start? Do you recommend start with one, start with the other, use them both at the same time? Do you have any thoughts on that, Dominique?
Okay, let's see. For you need some. Okay, let's see if you had to choose between one or the other one. It would be BP10 for a manager. For anyone you want to build in your company, for sure it would. If you don't want to use the two, it would be the BP10 for sure. I have no doubt. No doubt.
And then, if do you feel comfortable introducing them to someone at the same time? Because we have similar languages using ideas of talents and some of those pieces, different explanations, and maybe not so similar outcomes. So, would you do both at the same time?
Yeah. See, we hired 2 new managers the past month and all this, and we are having a huge meeting in February 26th to start our new year. Okay, so we wanted them to at least know a bit where we're going, because the other ones have been there for 5, 6, 7 years and all this. So yes, I coached them once with the StrengthsFinder, and on the same week BP10, because it's 2 different kinds of things. The way I say it, the way I explain it, it's StrengthsFinder. It's your talent. It's you and all this, and you're gonna have insights about StrengthsFinder the rest of your life, especially if you get coached often and you read, and we all have the same conversation. I mean, the way we talk in our company, because everyone has the same, so you're gonna have insights for the rest of your life. I always have insights every week, about myself. The BP10, it's the way I explain it and the way I see it, and it's so well done because there's 3 actions for every talent, right? And it's simple. Okay, it doesn't mean we're doing it, but the way I say it, it's like you have, as if you're driving your car and you have your mirror there. You have to, let's see, you cannot work the 3 times 4, the 12 actions. Human cannot do that. So let's see if they choose 1 in each of the 4 to be aware, So I said, after a while, but you cannot say, okay, now I'm good at thinking about the client first, profitability, and I'm going to forget it. That's not the way I see it. It always has to be there. You always have to be conscious of your actions of the BP10, or else it would fall. Do I explain it well?
Yeah, no, this is great.
Because I've been coaching and it's the same people and all this, it's a laboratory for me. And I have measures of stores that are doing better than the others because they're more aware, or so. But yes, I use the 2. I wouldn't live without the 2. It's the combination of the 2. But if I would have to choose between one of the 2 for a manager, for sure I would use the BP10. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, what a great description. I've heard them often by our best coaches. They're additive.
Yeah.
You can aim Clifton Strengths, kind of who you are, at the demands, at the activities of BP10.
And I'm going to explain another thing. Let's see, our general manager, he's an achiever in competition and all this, and he's been with us for 10 years, and he understands himself also because he achieve, like me and all this. But now, and we used to have, employee turnover, and since I came back with the BP10, and now he knows he has profitability, which is extremely high. Now he's aware that he was just thinking about the result, making money. Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of think about the clients, and you should put /employee into your profitability. That's a suggestion for you guys, because people who are high in profitability, they don't think about the employees. They think about the results.
Interesting, because turnover is expensive.
Yeah.
Turnover and retraining, and there's all kinds of.
So see, now he's aware that, he's aware now, and other people that also are high in profitability or any other talents, they're aware now that where they could be in trouble, it's there.
Okay.
So they're aware, like, don't be too independent, or don't. So
that's a great question, and a great answer. I've heard increasing conversation, and I'll just give a little info pitch here, and I think we'll focus a future show on this. There's a lot of interventions during life, be it at a job, be it education. You all know I do a lot of work with the incarcerated in prison. There's developmental interventions. And I'm hearing some coaches and some pretty smart people talk about, Clifton Strengths and the foundation of recurring patterns of thought and behavior are really powerful in the beginning, during the orientation, during the onboarding, during, whatever the beginning of that intervention or that developmental experience is. And then BP10 is very powerful upon launch, upon release, upon graduation, pick whatever the scenario is. So they're additive, they're foundational, but to your very good point, they're different assessments.
Yeah.
Someone once asked, why aren't the correlations, why aren't there more correlations? And of course we have a sheet that shows that, and I'm happy to email to anybody, but they're different assessments. They're measuring different things. And one is very focused in vocational and builder. Go ahead, Dominique. Sorry.
And okay, and how to say it? Let's say if StrengthsFinder, it's as if before I wouldn't see. StrengthsFinder, I have glasses now, I see. And if you put the BP10, you have X-rays.
Oh, right. Cool. Okay, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
We, again, very much feel that they're additive in nature. They're complementary. And I would say the absolute lion's share, we probably got close to 300 coaches now. We've done a few courses in India and Australia. We're planning Singapore and London. So we're globalizing, as we always said we would. We'll be in Montreal someday soon. So thanks for coming down here. I'm not sure we're going to go in February, but we very much find that the coaches that are really having the most impact are using them both. And there's a thriving debate on which is first, and what time has to occur in between, but that depends on the coach. We don't take a position, but I love your story, and I love how real it is. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Todd, you were mentioning different places around the world. Are we offering it in any other locations here in the United States as well?
Yeah, that's a pretty fair question. We're obviously going to sell out the courses around the summit. And I'm not plugging the course per se. Well, maybe I am. Those are great times to take it. We have such incredible talents like Dominique, who comes in for the summit and stays for one of the BP10 courses. So I know there's one before and one after the summit in June. If this year is like previous years, we'll probably do another in DC and another in Omaha in the fall. We don't have those dates locked down. If I had it my way, we'd do one once a month, but we've just got limited resources. We are launching, and I've talked about this in the past, a 15 to 20 minute interactive, digitized learning around the so we'll have, I don't know how we're going to unveil it or whether we're going to charge for it. I don't know any of the business details, but our learning and development team has built an interactive, digitized learning on how to understand your report. You seem to love the bullet and the conciseness. I've heard from others that they'd like a little more robust information in the report. So we think we'll probably answer that call through this 15 to 20 minute digitized version.
So I'm going to say final questions just to the chat room as we kind of bring this in for a landing. What else do you have?
I need to thank again our friend and guest, and Dominique. You've been so much fun to get to know, and your passion for measurement and the role that humans play in your business. The economies of the world would all be different if they were led by people like you. I continually am baffled at watching entrepreneurs and builders who aren't taking into account the human role and talents, and they're wondering why they're having such a difficult time, or leadership wonders why they're failing. I know exactly why they're failing. They're not developing the importance of the people that are running the business. So thank you so much for being with us today. You set a very high bar. I know a lot of the coaches couldn't be live, but they'll enjoy listening to your stories and your passion. Merci. I think that's what we said.
Bienvenue.
Yeah, and you've given us your time and talent in your second language, so that was appreciated too. I speak French, but Jim doesn't, so we wanted to.
I'm running it through the universal translator now.
In English.
Dominique, one more question before we let you go. However, if you were going to give a coach advice, they're coming new to this. They maybe they're just experiencing it for the first time, or assessment, how it works. They want to add it to their coaching. Based on what you've learned, what kind of advice would you give to them? How would you kind of set them up to say, in your first 90 days coaching on building, what kind of advice would you give them?
What kind of advice? Well, with the CRS, they would be
with the assessment, and then maybe add in some CRI stuff if because that's important. We've been talking a lot about that today. What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would give them that's it. With the result, and when you show the person that you're coaching, and you're asking the person, what do you see? So it's a self the people that when they see their scores, and I told you, 100%, they don't. Then there's no surprise. So I don't know what. I believe so much into the CRS that. It's easy. It's easy because everyone that I coach, they're so happy to know where they can improve, and also but where they have to be careful, because I sent a email to all my people this week, and all of them were saying, "Oh, I'm so happy. I'm high in this, and I'm so happy knowing that I have to be careful." So it's all about the awareness. So
that's great advice.
But not to be scared and to jump right in, because it's going to help them even more, the people you're coaching.
Yeah, but keep the reports off the lunchroom bulletin board, or I've seen coaches put the CIRs on their LinkedIn, and it's like, oh, what are you doing?
No, so you're right. For sure, you don't show the numbers.
Yeah, very private. I brought a little handout. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah.
Those are my Clifton Strengths scores. I was part of the experimentation phase with Don Clifton 20 years ago. So I have all different reports with actual Clifton Strengths scores. These are not available to anybody.
Todd, you know what a nightmare you just created for me? I just want you to know that. Now I'm at every coach.
They do not exist.
Oh my gosh.
That was all back during the early experimentation. But we think in the case of building, the CIR report is around to stay, and it's just I love the lens example. It's a X-ray vision into what it takes to build.
Dominique, what kind of ongoing, Andrea asked this question in the chat room, what kind of ongoing development are you doing with BP10? So taking it, you're doing some selection on it. I'm assuming there's some coaching when they first come in. Do you have an ongoing program that you're using with it?
Well, the general manager has a meeting every month with the managers, and I'm there for 2 hours during that day that I do exercise, group exercise. So it's always there.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of our coaches are pulling some of the exercises out of the book.
Yeah.
And those are all available in PDF. We made it hopefully very easy and writable PDF. So not just for the startup community, but boards of advisors and extended networks. These are all things that we can all utilize on a regular basis. So I know those are being utilized pretty extensively, which is neat. Do you have the book, the Born to Build book? Did you?
Yes, and I bought I think 20 copies. All the managers have it.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thank you for
sure.
that. That could have been an embarrassing question. If
No,
you didn't know.
no.
Again, thank you so much for your insight and your expertise. We're excited about the CIR, but it's so exciting to listen to how it's being used in the growth of business.
Yeah.
Your numbers are wonderful. Are you going to just double it again, or is your foot still on the gas?
Oh yeah, the plan is, and I can't wait for the new book coming out. It's even pre-ordered about the manager, because everything's about the manager.
Yeah.
Everything. It all starts there, because I see where the mistakes I made, because I coach so many salespeople, and then I realized, okay, everything starts with the manager. It starts there.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty exciting. We're learning more about it internally, and I think it's just going to change the world a little bit.
Because they are builders. And if you read the things that Mr. Clifton writes and all this, and about the economy and all this, everything, managers are builders.
It's the fulcrum is the manager. And of course, our data shows that there's a long way to go to get that fixed.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really practical book. I haven't been part of the review process, apparently, but it's going to be real tangible, real functional. There's 52 chapters, and they're all short and hard hitting and very action oriented, kind of like the Born to Build book. I think is pretty action oriented. So thanks for that plug. We're excited about what that can do. We're just kind of on a little mission to change the world from a little to a lot. And you're a big part of that, Dominique. And thank you a ton for your time and your talent and your expertise.
Well, Gallup is phenomenal. It's extraordinary. And their mission is great. And we have the same mission. Good.
Are you coming to the summit?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee or a bubbly beverage, depending on what time of the day it is. And thank you in person for helping us out here and for helping our coaches today. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Dominique, great to have you. I'll remind everyone, if you're interested in getting on the pre-order list for It's the Manager, that's available right now. It's February of 2019. You might be listening to this another time, but head out to itsthemanager.com. You can get signed up for that. There's some resources for you available right now in the form of videos. So if you want to jump out there, get signed up for that. Then when the book becomes available, we will send you the links to be able to purchase those, as well as bulk sales will be available for that at a discount as well. Remind everyone to take full advantages of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com. Send us your questions or comments. If you have any of those, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. You can also catch the video and both downloadable audio and streaming audio for offline listening if you want to do it that way. Those, we call that podcasting. All the cool kids are listening to podcasts these days. All that information, coaching.gallup.com. Todd mentioned the Summit 2019 is coming up here June 3, 4, and 5. Clifton Strengths Summit, all one word, CliftonStrengthsSummit.com. We are, at the time of this recording, we are getting ready to launch the breakouts, but all the other information is out there on the site. Just a reminder to everyone, March 15th, the price goes up, including for certified coaches. That goes up $100 March 15th. So you definitely want to jump in, get that done, get registered. And there's a pretty generous refund policy as well. So get signed up, even if you don't think you can make it. We love to see you out here in Omaha, and it's always a good time had by all. Join us on our Facebook group. There is a BP10 special Facebook group if you haven't joined it yet. I think it's facebook.com/groups/BP10. I didn't make it all that difficult to get in there. And you might have to ask for permission to get in. I will grant that when you get there. I'd love to have the conversation continue. Any other questions that you didn't get answered here, jump in the Facebook group and ask those questions. We'll get them answered. We'll be back in actually probably about a month. We'll do this again. Todd's lines up some great guests. Thanks for joining us today. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.